guys, Teresa Barber with Sippie Couture. Welcome to my channel and thanks so much for watching. Okay, look, we're ignoring this mess that I am right now, okay? We're gonna be focusing on sanding today. Sandpaper, prepping, the different applications that I use for sandpaper, and also when I use those. So we're going to be going between a sanding sponge. I'll tell you about Wet-Or-Dry Sandpaper. This is a 400 grit, and I absolutely love this stuff. So we're looking messy because this is going to be messy. This is the first of a few videos to come out that will cover basics. So if you guys want help with these, let me know. Let me know in the comments what you think. If there's another basic step that you want a tutorial on so we can cover this and really get some help for you guys. So again, thanks for joining me. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, and check out our Sippie Couture community Facebook group where we have lives, coupon codes, giveaways, and also one-on-one help where you could just message me direct and we could FaceTime, chat, do whatever we need to get you the help you need. So all right guys, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with prepping a tumbler. Here's kind of my thought and theory. Whenever you look at work, art, I mean anything guys, art, nails, cement, concrete, whenever guys are redoing the highways, walls, everyone always preps their surface, right? You see them out with the big machines on the highway, like scraping down the concrete and giving it something so that top layer, everything else could adhere to. And what they do is they're making it structurally sound. So they're starting from the beginning, making it structurally sound, that way everything could adhere, get a nice surface, and those top layers won't fail. So I prep, and I know, like I said, there's a great debate, prep or don't prep. I prep. And like I said, I just look at what people do over time. Everyone preps. There's got to be a reason why they're doing it, so there's going to be a reason why I'm doing it too. And if that helps all of my layers from the beginning forward be structurally sound, I'd rather that than taking any chances. Especially since I want to sell these. You know, we're selling these, we're making money. I want to put a product out there that's good and that's going to last. So that is how I look at it. I do prep my tumblers. Also, there's a few times where I wanted to strip a tumbler that I did prep, and it was impossible. Like, I couldn't strip that bad boy. And then there's a few that I dropped that I didn't prep, and my paint everything came off. Paint, glitter, everything just kind of came off, were the ones that I didn't, and I've kind of, I actually tried it. And the ones that I didn't prep, it's still chipped, it's still cracked, but some of those bottom layers didn't come off. So, and I put it all back to it being, you know, structurally sound. So two ways that I go about prepping my tumblers, and it kind of depends on how much I actually have to do. I'm sitting inside, guys. I hate doing this inside. I do not do this inside, but I have kids outside. My husband's in the garage making noise. I kind of don't have a choice. So two different ways to go about prepping your tumbler. First option is a sanding sponge. This is a 60 grit sanding sponge. It's brand new. And if I have just one or two tumblers to do, I'll go out in the garage and I will just sand it a bit to give it a good surface for everything to adhere to. It doesn't have to be a ton. You're just kind of wiping away that top, getting rid of the shine and some of the finishing touches that they did to give it something kind of rough for the paints and everything else to adhere to. So that's one way, is your 60 grit sanding sponge. The way that I do it, because I normally prep more than one at a time, is I go outside with my sander, and I use an electric sander. This is a brand new piece of sandpaper, so this is really going to get down. And these are the ones that I can't strip to save my life. They're in buckets, they're never going to get used. So I'm going to mute this. Wear a respirator for all of this sanding, guys. You don't want any of this to go in your lungs or anywhere else. So do this outside and wear your proper protection. But this is, I'm not sure what grit this is. I can't see from here. I will ask my husband what grit this is. I'm sure it's somewhere down the 60 line. I'll ask. But this is how I prep with a sander. All right, sped up and muted, guys. This is just too much. So we're going all the way around the tumbler, just making sure that we're sanding down each part really well. Okay, so you can see all the shine that was taken off of that. And by the time I'm done these, my hands are definitely kind of stainless. So then we're going to take this to the sink. We're going to wash it really, really good with Dawn dish soap. Just really, really well with Dawn dish soap. And then I will show you the second, kind of the second way of using some of these sandpapers. Okay, so like I said, we have this one cleaned and prepped. This is good to go to the next step, and that would be spray paint. I always spray paint my tumblers white before I do any colors. I kind of look at it where if I'm putting yellow, do I have something? I might have something that could work. Can I show this to you? Oh, I already put it over white. Shoot. Okay. If you, like for these, see these? I have it over white so I can see what those true colors are. Whenever you have yellow, let's say if I were to put yellow or blue or red or any color over this, the true color of that red, blue, yellow, whatever it is, it's not going to be too true because it's going over a darker base. If you want to show a true color, what it is, put it over white. That will, that white base is going to make it pop. It's going to give it kind of that true color that it should do. So what I do, and I know I say this all the time, but for anyone new, what I always do is I sand my tumbler really good. I spray paint it white. You can use regular acrylic paint if you want, if you're not good with the spray paint or you just would prefer acrylics. Paint it white, and then I would paint it the color that my glitter is going to be. What that does is that the white will give that color paint a base to come off of as its true color, and then doing the colored paint on top will give it some depth. A lot of times if you look at a cup and if you see that the color yellow, I always say yellow because yellow shows it really great, but there's a lot of colors that you look at and you can see that it isn't bold. It doesn't have that boldness to it. You can tell it's yellow or blue or purple or whatever it is. You can tell it is, but it also it's kind of not as intense color. These glitters are so pretty, and if I'm going to use them on a tumbler, I want them to be intense. So what I will do is I'll spray paint it white, then I will spray paint the color that the glitter is, roughly about that color, and then I'll put the glitter on top. That way that glitter has more depth. A lot of the times also when you're working with chunky or medium cuts glitter, if it doesn't fill in, that background being that color will get a little forgiveness, if I can say that. It'll give a little forgiveness because if there's any sort of gaps, which I'll cover glitter applications that we don't get those gaps. But if you're new and if you're starting out and if you end up with some of those gaps, the color in the background will give you a little forgiveness where you're not looking through and seeing white. You're still seeing the color that the glitter is, that same shade, but it plays it off a little better than if it would be over white. So I always spray paint white, spray paint my color. All right, so also we're gonna stick to sanding sponges. With that electric sander, the only other time I would use that is if I'm sanding a tumbler before and after that paper wears down, because that paper is pretty rough. So after it wears down a lot, there's times if I have to knock out a bunch of tumblers and just prepare them for decals, I'll go through and I'll use that sander after that paper has worn down. The sanding sponge. You can use this sanding sponge. I would use this from anywhere from prepping to cleaning my edges and preparing my tumbler for decals and smoothing big bumps. After that, I would switch to a different sandpaper, the Wet-Or-Dry, that we'll go over in a minute. All right, so this, like I said, is a 60 grit standing sponge. This one's brand new. My husband just got this one the other day. Like I said, for this one, I would use it to smooth out any bumps. So you just take it and just focus on that bump and push a little harder. Focus on that bump, and then I would take it and sand my whole tumbler. PPE, guys, I don't have one on me right now, but get your PPE, like cover yourself, protect yourself for this. So go through, sand your little spots, and also run this all the way around your tumbler, and it's going to give you a really good sand. It will take down those bumps, and also your vinyl. It will give a really good surface for your vinyl to adhere to. There's times where I've put vinyl over areas that aren't sanded. It still holds, but I noticed that some spots might want to bubble a little. Whenever I sand it and I smooth it on there, it grips so good that all of that kind of glue tape, whatever it's on for vinyl, it really grabs onto my tumbler and I get a much better grip. And I can tell the difference because a lot of times if I've had to reposition something, I will pull it off of something that is not sanded and it will pull up easy. Leave a little residue, we'll pull it fairly easy. If I put it over something that's sanded, I'm gonna have to use a little elbow grease, scrape that up, and then take it and sand off that glue, like as much as I can with acetone, and then sand off that glue. So your 60 grit sanding sponge is gonna be really good for getting down those big bumps and also preparing for decal. You can use an 80 grit sanding sponge. I really like 60 because by the time I use the life out of this thing, it's worn down to I don't even know what grit. Something ridiculous because I use them for a while. And then it has all the different sides to it, so you could just keep using this forever. Another good thing with the sanding sponges is to get around the rim of the tumbler. I really prefer using a Dremel with a flap wheel. Pause. I'll get it. Pause. All right, so Gary's pulling information. He does all of my sandpaper purchases. I tell him what I want and he goes out and gets it and looks it up. All right, so this is a rotary tool. We got this rotary tool from Gary?
Amazon.
From Amazon. From Amazon. That will be listed and linked in the description, and the brand is a Win. I will list this in the description. So this is a rotary tool I got from Amazon, and this is called a flap wheel. This is a 1-inch flap wheel, and he is pulling up if there's any certain grit that I need to tell you to get for this. Whenever you get this stuck, it's not plugged in. It's not plugged in, but it is stuck. So whenever you get this, this is one solid piece. It's straight across. It doesn't have this dip in it right there. If you can see that dip. What can I hold this against? Let's see if this works. See how it has that dip? It doesn't come with that. It comes as one solid piece all the way across. This little dip in there forms over time from holding it against your tumbler and sanding back that rim. So what I do, and this isn't on, I'm not gonna do this right now, I'll just show you. There's a few videos where I do have that, and maybe I'll just suck it up and take this outside, show you too. Yes.
It's an 80 grit.
Okay, 80 grit.
1 1/8 inch wide by 3/8. Yeah.
Okay, you just gave me a lot of stuff. It is
3/8 of an inch.
3/8. It'll be in the descriptions. The big things is it's a flap wheel, it's 1 inch, and the grit is 80. I will list everything else. He will write it down for me, and I will list it for you guys. And I'll just suck up. I'll take this and I'll show you how I do this edge. But what I do, just to explain it to you, what I do is I take, oh, you know, I have another video I can post. The video coming up right now is how I do the edge with this flap wheel. To describe it, I put this on an angle just like that. You can see where it's not, this, it isn't touching the inside of the tumbler. It's not scratching the inside of the tumbler. The way that it angled like this, it trims off. You can see where it is right there. It trims off everything to about that point, and it cleans off the rim of the tumbler. So it goes around, it cleans us off. This is the way that I'm happiest doing the rim of my tumbler. It makes it so much easier. When that's done, you're left with this, and you can barely see it. It's just a super, super thin, exposed stainless rim, so that whenever you're doing epoxy and you're sealing in the top of your tumbler, you're sealing in that epoxy and glitter, it's super smooth around here. There's no rough glitter, and it coats all of that, and it also adheres. It seals, seals that seam. I don't know what's wrong with my words, but it's it kind of seals that all the way in. So it's good all the way around. You won't have any problems with any air or water or anything else getting trapped in there. So I prefer to do all of the rims of my tumbler with that flap wheel. If you don't have a flap wheel or you're not comfortable with power tools, you can use a 60 grit sanding sponge. All you would do for that is the same thing. You're gonna angle it like this, go on an angle, and go all the way around your rim. I'm gonna have to try to prop it against something. Go all the way around, put a little elbow grease in there. Hold my breath. I shouldn't be doing this at my desk or in my house. Okay. I'll just do a little so you can get an idea of how that goes. All right, so I sanded it back, and you can still see, hopefully it will focus, I don't know if it's gonna focus, but you can still see right there, I don't know if you can see it when I turn it, but that stainless is exposed just a little, just enough. It's the same amount as using a flap wheel. It's just a lot easier. Once you get the hang of that rotary tool, it's just a lot easier to knock it out with a flap wheel. Like I said, because I'm doing also a lot of them at a time. So that is the other good thing about using this 60 grit sanding sponge. What else would I use this for? Knocking down the big chunks, cleaning off my rims, cleaning up my bottoms. If you have any spots on the bottom, use this also to smooth out down any rough edges. I forgot my toilet paper roll. I have to get that too, because that's a hack that a lot of people don't know. Gary's outside. I will have to get that. All right, so then we'll move on to Imperial Wet-Or-Dry Sandpaper. So this is by 3M. It's Imperial Wet-Or-Dry Sandpaper, and I like the 400 grit. So I don't use this sandpaper dry. I always use it wet, and this happens in a different location. This does not happen where I'm doing it right here. I will have a lot of cleaning up to do. How do I do this? I don't have my napkins over here either. All right, just catch a little bit of the water. So this is how this part goes. This is, like I said, 400 grit sandpaper, and the paper this is waterproof. So that's why it's Wet-Or-Dry Sandpaper. So I use this sandpaper when I need to prepare this for the final coat. This right here, it was on the last coat of epoxy. Well, rephrase. I did all of my work to it. It was just a paint, and I did my epoxy layer. Every time you distress your paints, you'll end up with little spots where like your paints will poke up a little. You may have a fuzzy trapped in it. It's super hard to get a flawless layer after any type of geo to distressing with paints. So what you'll want to do is put that next layer on, make sure all of your paint is covered, all of your design is covered so you're not ruining any part of the peekaboo. And what you'll do is you'll take your wet sandpaper, I'll take your dry sandpaper, wet it. I normally pour my water right onto the cup, but you can see the mess it would make right here, right? So then you take it and I curve it around my hand like that, and then I just sand the tumbler. I sand out any spots that may be rough grooves, any little pieces of fuzz that may be in there, and there's not much else. By this point, we've done so much sanding. By this point, why are you watching me, people? By this point, we've done so much sanding. I can feel the water like dripping down my lap. This is awesome. By this point, you won't have any rough spots because we've done all the other sanding. So we're just taking this, and what we're doing right here is sanding this all down to, for one, make sure we don't have any little bumps from where that paint is funky or where maybe a little fuzzy got into here. Or if you get a little fruit fly, because we know that happens. Like we pick them out and then we have to sand that spot down. Get your wet sandpaper, your 400 grit sandpaper, wet it, and you will get the most amazing sand on here. And if you ever see me, if I have like circles on my shirt, it's because you can tell the days that I'm doing these, because that's what I do and end up with my shirt. So this is why we look like this right now. This is why I didn't try. So then we go ahead and I spin this all the way around and I sand this really, really good. And again, the good thing about doing this and why I'm a little more comfortable doing this in this space is because it's wet and this dust doesn't go flying everywhere. I wear PPE. I understand that I don't have it on. I'm telling you, be careful. Please protect yourself and keep yourself safe. All right, so we're going to go all the way around this thing. Everywhere is smoothed out. They had a big old fuzzy in one of these spots, and I can't even describe the smoothness that this is. If you want a really smooth, fine sand, wet sandpaper is the key. Like, it's definitely the key. So then what I also do is I take my wet sandpaper and I also go around the bottom. I spin it around that way to make sure that everything's smooth. And then I also want to make sure the rim of my tumbler that everything's smooth and you can't feel that glitter around there. So I take that again and I go around like that. And I just clean off the top and make sure the top is super, super smooth. It's already cleaned off. I did that part in one of the other steps, so I don't have to worry about messing up any paints or glitters right there. All I'm doing is making sure that top rim of my tumbler is super, super smooth. That way when my customer gets it, whoo, like had stutters right there. That way when my customer gets it, it isn't funky in any areas. It's really soft, it's smooth. They're not gonna have it, have like a bump that they pick at. So that is the only step that I will use this sandpaper for, is sanding it down just before the last coat of epoxy. This goes over to my sink. I wash it with Dawn dish soap and a scrub brush, and I make sure I scrub everything off of it. It's super clean. Dawn dish soap, I find, works great for removing oils that may be on your tumbler or particles or anything else. I have seen people spray with alcohol and wipe it down with like a tack cloth. I've never tried that. Dawn dish soap works so good for me, and for some reason the towels I have don't carry a ton of lint, so I don't really have that problem. But if you do have a problem with lint, get some of those lint cloths and then just wipe it down, and that should help take care of some of that dust on there. But this just gets a really good cleaning, dry it off really good, and then after it's washed and dried, I will carry it like this and put it right back onto my turner without touching the outside of it. I go right back onto my turner and get this set. When I'm at that kitchen sink and I wash this, I also wash my hands with Dawn dish soap because that helps control some of the oils on your hands as well, and it will stop transferring over. So I believe that's the end of this wet sandpaper. I'm going through my mind and trying to think of everything else that has to happen. I think that's it with this part. Okay, one more part of sanding that you guys are gonna love, so hang tight. Okay, this next part is a toilet paper roll. I'm not even kidding, guys. This one is loved. Toilet paper roll. This one has been loved. I use this one a lot. I keep it by my kitchen sink. So every once in a while, even though we do everything we can to make sure our tumbler is like not pokey, everything's smooth, every once in a while, you'll finish and you don't realize they still have bumps on it until you go to wash it. And I notice that a lot, that I'll check a tumbler and it feels smooth, but if you really want to figure out where your flaws are, where your bumps are on a tumbler, get it under soap. Get it under soap and water, and all of those bumps will start to kind of show themselves. Should have wiped this off. It's dusty. Not like it matters because I am too. All right, so toilet paper roll. I don't know the grit that this would compare to. If I had to guess, I would say 3,000. I don't know. I'm sure someone out there knows this. If you know the answer of what toilet paper roll would, or paper towel or whatever cardboard paper roll you have, whatever grit it would compare to, let me know because I have no idea. I pulled a 2,000 grit and I feel like it's softer than 2,000. I feel like it's softer than 3,000. So what I do, and let me make sure I say this the right way. If I have my tumbler and it's finished and it's ready to go and I'm washing it and I notice a bump, and if that bump is on the design, if it's on anywhere of the design of the tumbler, between the top rim and the bottom, not counting the edges, if it is on anywhere of the tumbler, I'm not gonna send that out. I'm not gonna toilet paper roll it and then send it in the mail. I'm not gonna do that. What I will do is I will just sand it. I'll just get my Wet-Or-Dry Sandpaper, I'll sand it, do it the right way, and then get that out. If it has something on the edge, because every once in a while, like when I smooth out, because I don't do the bottoms of my tumblers. No, I always do this, and it's not next to me. I see one. Hold on. Y'all know I always do this, so we're just gonna do this again. Actually, you know what? I can use this exact cup to show you. I thought I was gonna have to use that black one. All right, so every once in a while, you think you're done with the design, and when you're washing it, you find a little pokey bit on the bottom, or it's mostly on the bottom that it happens to me. Like a little fuzz, it's one tiny little poke that you somehow overlooked. This one has it kind of right here. Where am I at? Right here. There's no way this sandpaper is gonna get this off. This toilet paper roll is not going to remove that, but it may be just perfect to kind of show you, to give you a pretty good example of that. So what you can do is take your toilet paper roll and rub it on that spot. I'm going to use my my new one, so hopefully it doesn't kind of show. So you take your new toilet paper roll, rub it on that spot, like focus on that dot, on whatever that rough spot is. And what it will do is it will take the edge off. It'll take that sharp point off of there. And if it's something where it's on the bottom edge of your tumbler, you can get away with this and it won't take the shine off of your epoxy. I should say that I have done this and it has not taken the shine off my epoxy. Don't be too aggressive because it could happen, but for the most part it doesn't. Like, look, I'll use this toilet paper right over that metallic. And you know that if it's metallic, you're gonna see it, right? But look, I rubbed that thing all over that metallic and you can't even tell. You can't even tell. But what it will do is it will really file down the sharp edges of any glitter that's poking through, and it doesn't do all that much for dulling that space. This spot was really poking up a lot, so I had to go at it a lot, and it requires a lot more sanding in that, and then if you do that enough, it will show. But just to get kind of the edge off a few little bumps, you can take a toilet paper roll, rub it kind of on those little bumps, and it will take off that sharp point. It will it'll help sand that down. So, and that is a really good hack, because when it's those times where you know, you're about to mail your tumbler off, but there's one little piece at the bottom that doesn't matter. It won't dull your epoxy, but it will still smooth it so it's not, you know, really tough in your face, something you have to take care of. I should stop before I end up playing with this whole tumbler. So that is when I will use a toilet paper roll. Just really fine dots around the top or bottom that will not mess up the design, that don't really matter because, like I said, it doesn't take away that shine. Is that it? I think that's it. I think that's it. Okay, I did this tutorial as if I was doing a live and kind of thinking of something kind of on the fly. These helper tutorials that I'll do for you guys, this is probably what they'll look like, where I'll kind of run through just kind of the basics of stuff and try to think of all the points I need to get across to you guys all in once. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. I will answer them. Furthermore, if you have more questions or if you need to see something done exactly the way it is, Sippie Couture Community is the Facebook group page. Come join us over there. You can message me direct from there. If you're a visual learner, we can do, like I said earlier, like a video chat where I will get on and actually show you in person, or I can just do just a live day where I show you guys all of these different little things and give you answers. But I think that's it. I think that pretty much covered all the different ways I use sandpaper and when to use them. Everything that you might need will be listed and linked in the descriptions. There will be coupon codes to a few different places that we didn't work on with tumblers today, but if you want a coupon code to Nola's, the Amy's Makes It, Stainless, Depot, and also Wicked Gold if you need some wooden blanks. All of those will be listed in the description. So, all right, guys, that is it. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope everyone has a great week or weekend, whichever day you're watching this, and I will see y'all soon. Bye, guys.